Welcome back to your No Malarkey Guided Programming. This is Kalu. In our last video, we were able to set up and establish an SSH public-private key pair. Now we're going to use that public-private key pair to buy and log in. Well, really just to log in to our remote server. First, we have to buy our remote server. We're going to buy that from DigitalOcean. They call their remote servers droplets. It's pretty cute. So just go to digitalocean.com/droplets. And you can log in if you already have an account. If you don't, please sign up. You may have to log in, you may have to hook up your credit card, I'm not sure. But if you do, just hook up your debit card. It's not that big of a deal, it's very cheap. These things cost 0.036 cents per hour, and it doesn't charge you anything until an hour. If you don't worry about the charge, it's really cheap. Just hook it up if it requires you. It may not even require. So once you do that, you should go to this digitalocean.com/droplets page. And I want you to click on Create Droplet. And we're gonna do this very quickly. We're just gonna keep all the default settings. I'm gonna prompt you to the default settings, but we're not gonna change anything. Right here, the operating system is Ubuntu 16.04. We can see here that it is set to 0.03 cents per hour for the cost. And we have our New York data center, that's where our server resides. And we're gonna keep all this the same. The only thing we're gonna do is hit this new SSH key. But before we do that, we wanna copy our SSH key to our clipboard. So you want to open your terminal. And in your terminal, just like if you followed our last tutorial, your SSH public key should be saved in .sh/id_pub. And to print that to the screen and copy it, we're just going to type the cat command. So what we want to do is print it to the screen and copy it. So type cat, this curve dash /.sh/id_rsa.pub. and then press enter. I am not going to press enter because I don't want to display mine, but you should press enter, and once it is displayed, please right click it and copy. Make sure you copy only your SSH key, only what is displayed when it's printed out. Don't copy anything extra. Don't copy the line that will come up down here that says your name, just like up here. So once you copy that into your clipboard, again, you should actually be copying your SSH public key, not the blank space that I have displayed here, since I didn't hit enter because I don't want to reveal mine online. But you should copy that, go back here and hit new SSH key. So once you hit new SSH key, you can paste. I'm not going to do it, but you should paste the SSH key you just copied, and then go here and add the name of your computer. So you can make it my HP laptop if that's the name of your computer. Make it whatever name you want, and then hit add SSH key. I can't add it because I didn't enter anything, and so I'm just gonna hit X. But you should actually add your SSH key. And I'm gonna pause this video for a second. And you should hit X right here. Great. Once you hit X, you should see I have 3 already associated with my DigitalOcean account. You should see the SSH key with the name you just gave it right here. And I want you to just click the checkbox. Maybe you only have 1. I have 3 since I've already entered 3 previously with this DigitalOcean account. But go ahead and check the one associated with your account. So I've checked it, and we are good. So you can see I've checked it right there. It's blue with the check mark. And now we could go here, and I'm going to change the name. I'm going to call it jobs-sites-droplet. And then we're going to hit create. So with that, our DigitalOcean server is being created, or droplet as they call it. So we're just gonna wait right here, and what we want is the IP address. So we're gonna copy this IP address. It is copied, and then we're gonna follow this DigitalOcean initial server setup, and it is at this URL address you can search it with this name, initial server setup. You can just search that and maybe search it with the site DigitalOcean.com and just search it. And you can get it, or you can just go to the link that I should provide in the description. So once you're here, it's going to say that the first thing you want to do is SSH into your DigitalOcean server. Step 1, root login. So to do this, you want to open your terminal and you want to write, I'm just going to clear, make sure everything is nice and clear, SSH root at, and then go ahead and paste. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to this DigitalOcean and hit copy again. And then we're going to go back to our terminal and paste that server IP address. And then press enter and you should be logged right in. Oh, I'm sorry. Press enter and then write yes. There it is. You're logged in into your DigitalOcean droplet. So now we want to create a user. So write add user and the name of your user. I'm going to write my name. You can choose to write your name and write your password. Please do not forget this. And when you type, it will not look like you're typing, but trust assured you are typing. And then write your full name. And I'm not going to enter anything else for here, except I'm going to write yes on is this information correct. So now we want to give this user we just created, mine being Kalu, all lowercase, I want to give it user pseudo privileges. Pseudo privileges just means that it is in the pseudo group. And what the pseudo group means, let's see what we can give. It gives it administrative privileges. So to avoid having to log in and out of your normal user to your root account user that has all the administrative privileges, we can set up a super user account that if you put the keyword sudo before any key command that you enter, it's going to allow it to enter the command even if it requires administrative privileges. Now this only works if you're logged in as a user that is in the sudo group, and that's what this command does right now. It adds the user you just created to the sudo group. If you don't understand what that means, don't worry, because you know the Clue principle of learning a new discipline, and that is bottom up, not top down. That is example based and not learning by rules, and that is inductive reasoning, not deductive reasoning. So don't worry if you don't understand what that means. We're going to do this many times, and by iterating over these projects, you will start to understand what all this means. So next we want to go to step 4, and we already generated a key pair in our last tutorial, in the last video. If you missed that, go ahead and check it out. What we want to do right now is just copy the public key. We already generated a public key, we just want to copy it. And to copy that, we want to go to option 2, manually, that's weird, manually install. I would say manually copy the key. I guess manually install, whatever. So we want to write this command in our local machine. So this is our remote machine, our remote server. We want to open a new terminal. And in this new terminal, I want you to write this command, cat, this curly dash / .ssh id _ .pub, and press enter. I'm not actually going to press enter because I don't want this on camera, but you should press enter, and once you press enter, you should copy the contents of the printout that it gives you. And make sure you only get the SSH that it prints out and not the extra command that it gives you right here at the end. So once you do that, I'm going to pause and do mine off camera. Alright, so I've gone ahead and copied mine to my clipboard. And while I was doing that, my connection was closed. Sometimes you lose internet connection and the connection's closed. If that happens, just log right back in. And I'm going to close this terminal and only stay in the terminal. I've logged back in. Now I'm in the root of my job site droplet. So inside of this terminal, make sure that, inside of this terminal, I've now copied my SSH key. It should look something like this. I've copied it to my clipboard. Now I want to log into this user. My user was Kalu. You created the user. You maybe use a different name. And then I want to make a directory and call it SSH. And then I want to give this directory, I want to change the privileges. You'll start to understand what all these commands mean later. But we write chmod to switch and restrict the permissions, or to just change the permissions of a certain file or folder. And this is just a permission level. You don't need to understand what it means now. Just write this. And then we want to open a file, create and open a file. We're going to use Vim instead of Nano, and call this file authorized keys. Make sure you spell this correctly. Pay attention to detail right here. It's important. And press enter. And then remember, in Vim, you press I to insert. I to insert, and you can see it's in insert mode. In escape, that is the key above the curly dash, above the tilde, or the curly dash as it's called, is the escape key, and that will get you out of insert mode. So escape, you're out of insert mode. I, you're inside of insert mode. Escape, I, escape, I. You can only type when you're inside of insert mode. So I'm gonna press I to get back inside of insert mode. And in here, I want you to paste the contents of your clipboard, which should be your SSH public key. I'm not going to do my own camera, but I want you to just click paste right here. And then after you paste it, I want you to press escape : W for write to save, and Q to quit, and then press enter. And it's going to return you right here. So you should have the contents of your clipboard here. I'm not going to do mine on camera, but you should make sure that yours right here has the contents of your clipboard before you do this step. In case you missed that, I'm going to erase this again. Press I to go to insert mode and right click and paste. I'm not going to do it, but you should do it. Once you do that, the contents of your public key should be in here. You're going to press escape, which is the button above the curved dash, and then : W to write, Q to save, and press enter. So now that we've done that, we can move on. So I did mine off camera, so make sure you don't think that mine magically will work. So I did go ahead and paste mine off camera. So now we want to restrict the permissions of this authorized key file we just created. So do this chmod 600. Don't worry too much about what this means. And now we can exit our user. And now we want to set up or disable password authentication. It should already be disabled for us, but just to show you what it looks like, we want to do sudo vim, because we use Vim instead of Nano, etc sshd, and then enter. And we want to make sure that password authentication is no, and then public key authentication is yes, and challenge response authentication is no. So first, password authentication. We can already see that public key authentication is yes, so that's good. So next we're looking for password authentication no. So challenge response authentication right here is no. That is great. So next, password authentication no, and here it is, password authentication no. Everything is good. If yours isn't like this, make sure you press I to go into insert mode, and you go ahead and change all of this. Make sure that password authentication says no, challenge response authentication says no, and make sure that public authentication says yes. And then I'm just going to get out of insert mode and press : if you made any changes, you want to do W to save and then Q to quit. We didn't make any changes, so I'm just going to quit. If you did, make sure that you save it. And then we're going to do sudo systemctl reload sshd. Not really necessary in our case since we didn't make any changes, but just do it anyways. So now we want to test login. I want you to open a new terminal and then try to log into your server that you just set up. So SSH, your name, the username you set up with add user, and then we want to write our IP address right here. So go back to DigitalOcean and get this IP address. Go back to your terminal and paste. and then press enter. Make sure that you can log in. Great, we've logged in. The last and final step is set up our firewall. We just want to do this by doing these two commands: sudo ufw allow open SSH, enter, and then sudo ufw enable. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we want to write our password. So the password we just created, make sure you didn't forget, and it should say rules updated, rules updated. If you got your password wrong, type it again. Remember, when you type your password, it's not going to show up, but it is receiving your input. So after we do that, we're going to write sudo ufw enable, enter, and yes, we want to proceed. Great, we are done. So in the next video, we're going to follow another DigitalOcean tutorial. We're going to load Django, GUnicorn, Nginx, and Postgres onto the server and get our app. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your attention to detail. You guys are going to be amazing programmers very soon. See you guys at the next video.